staring at me, I'm staring at you. If you're staring at me, I'm staring at you. What else am I to do? I think this town is lonesome, or maybe it's that I'm new. This town is boring, but we could find something to do. I'd even let you choose. Were you just trying to figure me out then? A social science, won't you share your findings with the subject of your experiment? Cause if you're staring at me, I'm staring at you. If you're staring at me, and I'm staring at you. And I'm just not in the mood. If you're staring at me, I'm staring at you. If you're staring at me, thanks. That's a song I wrote called Staring at Me. I wrote it when I first moved into this tiny little town in the Midwest, not Urbana, but a small town no less. So my first question is, what has your experience been as a musician in Champaign-Urbana? It's been a good experience. It's been an experience of a lot of growth. Standing here on the Rose Bowl Tavern stage, this has been my home. I used to sneak in and then get kicked off from stage at a hootenanny by the bartender because I was underage and not supposed to be here. But I wanted to sing so bad, and I wanted to be a part of this community so bad that I kind of bulldozed my way in and have found that there's a lot of home here in the Champaign music scene, a lot of friendship, a lot of kinship, a lot of mutual support, a lot of love for one another as creators and artists, and it's been a really good experience as a musician here. After moving away to a couple of different places, it's easy when you're here to not be fully grateful and fully aware of all of the beautiful opportunities that are available here. But moving away into smaller towns, into different communities that maybe don't like the same kind of music that I like, or there's just not a scene, musically speaking, it's sad being in a smaller town that doesn't have what Champaign-Urbana has to offer. So, yeah, I love it here. I'm going to do a new one, and I'm excited. It's been writing a little bit more simpler and more fun lately, and that's been exciting because I usually write about all the heavy, hard stuff, and this one's just fun.
So sad and treat me like a chore. It makes me want 'em more. I've been conditioned to think I'm the savior that they seek, but I'm not one of them. No, I'm not one of them. I wanna play house. I don't wanna figure that out. I wanna play house. I don't wanna figure that out. I wanna play house. I don't wanna figure that out. I wanna play house. You wanna play? 'Cause you could cook me dinner and we could just chill out. We could cuddle watching TV, fall asleep on the couch. And if you don't have no roommates, I guess we could get real loud. I wanna play house. I don't wanna figure that out. I don't wanna figure that out. I wanna play house. I wanna figure that out. I wanna play house. You wanna play. You wanna play. You wanna play house. I don't wanna figure that out. I wanna play house. I don't wanna figure that out.
So that's that. I'm excited to get into the studio, going into the studio here today, and gonna lay down a bunch of demos, and before too long I'll have a bunch of music for you guys to enjoy in your homes during this crazy time. The next question that I've drawn is, what do you wish someone would have told you prior to getting involved with music? There are a lot of things that I wish someone would have told me. And I also wish that if they did, I would have listened. As a kid growing up, my dad's a drummer. He's a great drummer. And he did the whole thing. He was in a band that got a record deal, and he went on tour, and he slept in the van, slept in the U-Haul truck that they were driving around, and he wasn't happy. And he came home, and he started playing music that he wanted to play, and started a family, and I was part of that family. And I grew up hearing these stories, these glorified rock and roll stories, and really idolized the idea and glorified the idea of just finding a band and buying a van and taking off across the country and sticking together and just having that rock and roll lifestyle. And part of that idea that's glorified is the way that the music industry had worked. Like getting a record deal, getting a manager, getting promotional support, and someone doing all that work for you so you could just be the crazy rock and roller, throwing things out windows at hotels and doing crazy shit like that. And so I thought that's how it worked. I thought, you played music, you recorded your songs, and then when you were good enough, and if you were good enough, someone would come along and want to do all this work for you. And I thought that's just how it worked. I thought like the next step was getting a manager, and then a record deal, and then, you know, world tours. I just thought it was that simple. And what I wish someone would have told me is that you don't need a manager, and that a real manager will give you a contract and will treat you with legal respect and human respect. When I was in my 20s, I had a manager that was not a manager. He was a predator. And it took me a long time to understand the place that I'd been put in by having this ideal of what the music industry how it would work if I was good enough. And that's the key thing, is if I was good enough, then I would have this clear path, this clear-cut path, and it would just work. And I never accounted for someone seeing my vulnerability that I freely give and taking full advantage of it and really screwing with my mental health so severely. And it's taken me a long time to realize and discover and know that by the time you need a manager, you've already been doing all that work yourself. You've been doing your emailing, you've been doing your booking and your touring and your show throwing, and you're capable of doing that, especially as a female-bodied artist. I wish someone would have told me that I can run my own business and write my songs, and I can be successful at both, that I'm capable, that I'm not just a bleeding heart, I'm also an incredible business mind. If someone would have told me that when I was young and helped me believe that, I don't know if I would have fallen victim to that, to a predator, to someone like that. And now that I've grown past it, I don't necessarily regret everything that happened. I learned so much, and I learned it very young and very early in my career. And at this point, I'm thankful. Most days, I'm thankful that I learned it then. But not all the time. Definitely not always thankful for that shit in my life. But I think it's important to talk about. And this next song is called Chambers, and it's directly about violence towards female-bodied people in the workplace. And my workplace is been multiple different places. I've been a baker, I've been a bartender, I'm a musician, and unfortunately, I learned how to spot these predators pretty early. But some of them hide in plain sight. And that's sort of what this song's about. This song is called Chambers, and it's about having to reclaim your space and be okay with how you've come to heal, be okay with your journey in healing, to forgive yourself for the choices that you made when you were just trying to keep your head above water. And it's also about having hope that you might not have to learn that same lesson again. And that there's a way out, that there's always a way out. A way out from underneath an abusive manager's thumb, a way out of depression, and a way into healing, a way into community.
disappointed pavement. Trauma like tunnels has got a way of giving me the spins. Chambers of challengers of bloodied, punched face. Ooh, ain't it something I know? Ain't it something I know? Ooh, ain't it something I know? Ain't it something I know? Ooh, ain't it something I know? Ain't it something I know? Ain't it something the way I deflect and cope? Laugh about how I used to get shut out and then shut in. Chambers and chambers of blood and oxygen, rerouting routines like which way I walk in. But trauma like tunnels, there's always a way out of it. And taken lightly, it's unlikely there's not a light around the bed. Ooh, ain't it something I know? Ain't it something I know? Ooh, ain't it something I know? Ain't it something I know? Ooh, ain't it something I know? Ain't it something I know? Ain't it something the way I deflect and cope? Laugh about how I used to get shut out and then shut in. But if the rain can endure this place, if the rain can fall and still keep faith, if the rain can endure this place, if the rain can fall and still keep faith, I can change, I can change, I can change, I can, oh, I can, I can, oh, I can, I can, oh, I can. Chambers and chambers of blood and oxygen.
Thanks. What kind of time am I running? No idea. Well, I've kind of already spoken on this one, but it is, what has your experience as a woman, what has been your experience as a woman in music? As a female-bodied person in music, there's always been an element of marketability taught to me and told to me that I've just recently learned to say, fuck, get out of here too. I wasn't supposed to say that word. But I've just recently learned how to hold my own and be really, truly be confident, mostly confident about who I am and how I present in my queerness, in my spirituality, in my body, in my presence. It's not always easy to be the only female-bodied musician in the room. It's definitely a lot easier to assume I'm not as talented or not as smart or not as good of a player because I never saw a whole lot of female shredders was all men growing up. So it's not always easy, and I think it's important to remember that we need to have space, intentional space, to just be as a musician and not as any certain type of musician, to just be as an artist and not something that's connected to gender. I got told a lot, very often, that if I wore more makeup, I would look prettier, and that I really only had until I was about 25 to be marketable doing the music that I do. And I'm 25, and I don't give a shit now. I'm just gonna do one more, and it's called Conversations. And I wrote it back when I was married and having a lot of conversations that felt more like arguments. And now, years later, I think it feels more beautiful to look back and know that the two people in that marriage were struggling so much and trying so hard to hear one another. And that's something that I think of in this song now. Conversations in my head, they're driving me insane. All these noises keeping score that I can't maintain. But I'm growing tired of keeping this pace. And I'm growing weary, trying to trace it back to the start. I do meditation in my head, my body follows me. All these vibrations leading me to a forgotten blue and gold scheme. But I'm growing tired of keeping this pace. And I'm growing weary, trying to trace it back to the start of this argument. Back to the start of this argument. You feeling low, and I suppose I was being short. Thanks.